All right, Ged. Home opener for your Toronto Raptors tonight. It is halftime, so that means we can squeeze in a review. And how's it going, by the way?
Not too bad at all. I feel like I've seen you a
A
lot
lot. Yeah,
this week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll continue into the weekend.
And we will continue into the weekend. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what we have in store. If we're going to shoot anything, we're going to hang out. We just talked about playing a little golf. Maybe, I don't know. It'll be nerdy. It'll be great.
Awesome. All right. So this week's episode we called The Announcement. And surprisingly, kind of to me, it was like 53 minutes long, I believe,
It
something like
was
that.
lengthy.
It was
Lengthy.
loved it. Loved it. I've been asking
Lengthy.
for that. And you know what? I want to go right into this point first. Again, not really.
Hold on. When we finish this, I literally
Yeah.
want to stop what I was doing and watch a Jason Bourne movie. It was the
Yeah.
most Jason Bourne episode I've seen since the
Yeah.
movie. Okay, go ahead. That's all I have to say.
So I'll just be straight up honest right from the get go. I loved this episode.
Okay.
And let's start with we got Space Cancun with
Yeah.
a space hooker. Cassian, he got his money and he went to the beach. Loved
I
it.
actually didn't quite put together that she was what my lovely wife would refer to as a paid friend.
A lady of the night.
A lady of the night. I figured she was
That
just
was
like
my guess.
a rando that he's like
Well,
he's a good looking charismatic dude. I figured he just showed up and put the
it
old
could
wheels
be,
on.
but he's flush with cash. And the other thing he did, not my own personal experience, but I know someone who's had trouble with this. When he's in the other room faking having a shower, he's like counting his cash and making sure it's secret.
Oh no, did you just do that?
He's making sure she does not know he has that with him. So that to me suggests it's someone very not trustworthy.
That is savage.
Yeah.
Savage is a reference. That is almost not cool. That's so mean. But having said that, all of his stuff is locked up and he's going to the store. So it's not inconceivable.
Those are real life lessons right there. But yeah, I've been asking forever for new Star Wars locales. We're getting it in spades with the show, which I love. So this episode, a ton of awesome character developments we got, and a lot of things that maybe we assumed not necessarily the case. Let's just first, I want to start out with the big cameo at the beginning. So we get Admiral Wolf Yularen doing the big speech, like, the ISB will be basically the frontline defense. We will combat the rebels. And as you know, Wolf Yularen was the one dude wearing the white jacket in A New Hope. And he also is your narrator for the Clone Wars and Anakin's basically superior officer on his starship. So cool to see him, make it into, well, he's already been in live action, to make it back into live action because he was, he is a pretty, important character. And I love how he says, I literally met and spoke with Emperor Palpatine myself. So
that is a flex.
Yeah, so it tells you right away how the seriousness level of him as your boss coming in and telling you basically shit's going to change around here. The status quo no longer good, which I loved. And then, so what are your thoughts about the Empire side of things with them basically ramping stuff up?
It almost feels like they've called martial law. Like this happened, and it was like all sentences will be served out right away. All fines will be paid in full. Like they believe they've been lenient on the galaxy.
Yeah, you literally see instantly boots on the ground on all those sectors that they were having potential issues with. We see shore troopers, stormtroopers. When Cassian, we'll get into the Cassian getting arrested, but it was like, this used to be a 6-month thing, but ever since the Aldani heist, now it's 6 years. They're going hard.
Crazy. They said they'll have no concerns, no pushback, no issues at all with getting Navy and ground support. Like they are.
Yeah. They'll be able to call in whenever they want. So it goes to show you how quickly, you thought the Empire was bad, previously, like
Mm-hmm.
watch us flex our muscle. I'm going to get into what I think that's going to lead to near the end, if I remember. But to keep going on, we also get kind of the rebel side of the aftermath, and I want to focus on Mon Mothma because I thought she had a brilliant, couple scenes. And the one thing I thought was even more telling is she didn't know Luthen was behind the heist. We kind of talked
I
about
was
like
surprised.
how involved she was and if she knows like if she was, hand and foot, like locked in step with Luthen to pull this first, big move off.
And I
And
was
it's
wrong because I thought
yeah,
that she was like, I took the stance of absolutely. And I think you were a little
yeah,
hesitant on it. And I'm like, no, man, there's no
yeah.
way. She's definitely
Yeah,
in
I
on
was
this.
because I think I asked you the question. Do you think this is their first big move? And you kind of assume now, like
I
they've
said
probably
no.
done a few. Yeah.
Yeah. I said
So
that
it,
they
it
had done
turns
other
out
stuff.
that is it. Like that is the first salvo fired, and Mon Mothma didn't. She seemed very scared. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say pissed. Like she was frightened that like oh my, like her life could turn upside down in a hurry.
Yep.
And Luthen just kind of like ruthlessly is just like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
and then she's like, people are going to suffer. He's like, that's the point.
That's the idea.
Yeah. He almost wants the Empire to become more ruthless to force
That's
people
what he
to
said.
rise
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
He
So,
said they're doing exactly what we wanted them to do. They are overreacting.
yeah.
They're starting that uprisal by being so forceful about it. He literally saw all of this
Yeah.
happening. He called it out right at the end when they were chatting.
So it's kind of, and I didn't really think that was going to, like, that's where they were going to go with things. So to me, that was super, it's a very interesting way to start the rebellion in almost forcing your oppressors to be even more ruthless,
Yep.
to force people in a corner to give them no choice, which
Yep.
then leads to like, I thought this scene was like very emotional and beautiful, but Cassian coming back to kind of get his surrogate mom and get her out of there. And she gives him
Yeah.
the whole speech like, no, I've stood long enough, like watching this stuff. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm actually going to take action. And she doesn't want to leave. And Cassian he's still kind of disconnected from this the idea of being a rebel. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
obviously not in. And,
He just took the money.
he just took the money. He's on the
Mm-hmm.
beach. He's in Cancun.
So
But
funny.
his mom's like loading up. Like I loved it. Like her,
Yeah.
like she's basically like, I got nothing left to live for. Like and then she like talks about the heroes of the Aldani heist. Like those people are heroes because they actually stood up, which is
Yep.
funny because it's Cassian, but he just thinks, oh, it's just a robbery. It's nothing. It was just a heist. Like,
Yep.
Don't pay no attention to that. But it's interesting the different viewpoints on how they're viewing that situation.
And
Um,
there are a couple incredible moments in that scene, and I want to touch on them in case we jump off
yeah,
this
go right
and
into
it
it.
doesn't get back. There are two things that stood out for me. Number one, her quote of "There's nothing in the galaxy that I love more than you,"
Yeah,
which was incredible. As someone who pulled them off the ship, she alludes to "Don't try and look for your sister. There were no survivors," which means he's probably gonna find his sister. There's definitely gonna be a survivor, but
yeah,
there were no survivors. I love you more than anything in the world. Um, and then there's the flashback of him as a kid, and she talks about as part of this moment where she says she's tired of standing around there, where she wouldn't walk through the square, and it
yeah,
shows the flashback of what happened. And I also didn't realize, because I could have missed it, that his surrogate father's name was Clem.
yeah. I noticed
I
that
was
too.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
so he takes on his surrogate father's name to do something in the name of what he believes is good as an understated hero. Like it was such an incredible
yeah. It
moment
was
of
brilliant. Yeah,
full circle, showing what happened to him, showing him hanging in the square. She's like, I walked through the square for the first time since they hung him up there.
yeah,
And knowing that he used that name, to me, that was by far my favorite moment all series so far. Like it was
yeah,
so well done. It was so poetic. It was cinematic. It was beautiful. All I can picture is as they're shooting this, as they talk about when they're on Ferrix, they actually have they have the orchestra there. So I can
yeah.
imagine them shooting that scene and having music being conducted
Yeah.
as this is going on. I mean, yeah, it was so well done.
Yeah, the writing has just been brilliant
Yeah.
from start to end on this show. And then even like a really cool like that flashback, we get to see the clone troopers, because it almost fits in with the Bad Batch timeline, right? Because remember the Bad Batch,
Yeah.
the what do they call them? The regs, the normals or whatever.
Your
Just,
eggs.
yeah, like they're acting as a stormtrooper. So it gives you like it's cool to see them in that armor,
Yeah.
carrying out the Empire's will.
Yeah.
Again, just nice touches, like perfect touches on this particular episode.
Absolutely.
What else did I have here? Yeah, so let's go back to the Monmouth Machine for a second. So she's trying to get money, and I love how she's like her old friends feeling her out, and he's like, "Yeah, you wouldn't like me. I'm kind of like anti-Empire."
Yeah.
And she's like dying. You can tell she's dying on the inside, being like, "Me too," but she can't say anything. Yeah. And then she flips it around and ends it with that line. He's like, "Well, you got to tell me what the money's for." And she's like, "Well, maybe you can't stomach the type of
maybe my politics are a little too
something
strong for your liking."
Yeah. Loved it. And I love how when the husband comes over, she's like, "You can't trust him."
Yeah, that's so wild.
Yeah, doesn't know anything, and you can't trust him.
You can't trust my husband.
Yeah. And it goes to show how broken that marriage is. Like, we've already seen parts of it, but
big time.
Like, yeah, it's
big time.
It's not a good thing. And the other thing I thought was funny is the husband wears, it almost looks like the hand of the kingpin.
He does.
I hope you noticed that. He's walking around like that. I'm like, man,
he's hand of the king.
Yeah, like, it's almost like,
Otto Hightower, is that you?
Yeah, he is number 2 in that relationship, and he symbolized it quite well.
Yeah.
And then I think the other, so 2 last points to touch on. So I want to talk about Cassian in getting sentenced to jail. And I want to talk about our boy. What was his name? Karn. The guy got fired in episode 3.
Cyril.
Yeah.
Cyril. What a weenie.
So
just a weenie.
Yeah.
He's the kid you want to push into a locker.
Yeah. So we know Cassian's not going to be in jail for 6 years. There's just no way. So does Buddy in his new position, he's like listening on radio frequencies. Is something going to come across his thing where he sees, I can't remember the fake name Cassian used, but when he sees Buddy got arrested and then there's an image and he's like, "Oh my God, that's the guy."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wonder if that triggers something. And then my other potential theory is, I think I don't think it's confirmed that Saw Gerrera is going to show up eventually in the show. If there's anyone who's going to break someone out of jail, like Saw Gerrera kind of fits the type of guy who's going to break someone out.
What I really want to know is, does the hooker take the rest of the money?
Yeah, she's left with it now. Yeah.
Yeah. If she finds that, that's like, boom. It's amazing.
She's going to get all the credits. Yeah. She's going to be gone.
That was a good night. It was a profitable night.
Yeah.
All she wanted was some type of snack. So she takes it all. I want to see a whole movie just on him getting his money back from the hooker.
Yeah. Before I join your rebellion, I must search this person down.
The call girl.
Yeah.
She's got my money.
I guess the other interesting thing was Luthen's right hand ordering basically again, I can't remember her name, the leader of their little heist, to basically kill Cassian because he's a loose end.
Yeah.
Were you expecting that at all? Yeah.
No.
I thought Buddy respected Cassian enough that maybe he wanted to get him back to recruit him some more for missions, but
I don't necessarily know if that was Luthen's decision.
Oh, you think it might have been?
I mean, this was somebody who's one of his high-ranking people. She's just making the decision.
Yeah.
But again, this goes back to strengthening the point that I made a few weeks ago that I got chastised for on this channel, which was really showing some gray area between, the Empire and the Rebellion. Cassian mentions it in Rogue One where, he did a lot of things in the name of the Rebellion because he thought it was the right thing to do. That's the same thing that 90% of the people that work for the Emperor, they think they're doing the right thing. And this is another example of, we'll kill this guy because he's a loose end. Well,
you know what? Yeah.
You have to see
Yeah.
the lines being drawn here. Like,
Yes, if you think about it, right? If Luthen or Mon Mothma go down, the rebellion is likely over.
mhm,
At least the rebellion as we know it. Like
mhm.
maybe something else forms down the road, but like they are the two critical. Well, and the other one too, and I was actually thinking about this, and I'm surprised. I don't know if we're going to get him this series, but Bail Organa is also, I wonder if him and Mon Mothma even know that they're both simultaneously like anti-Empire. They must,
I
but
don't know.
we haven't seen him
She's
or
pretty
heard him
secretive and
mention.
has a perception of
Yeah.
being very pro emperor, right?
So maybe, so maybe Mon Mothma is kind of really green right
Mhm.
now. Like she's really in the beginning stages of this and not quite sure what she's willing to stomach yet.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's. I don't know. Anything else you want to cover? Like I thought this episode was great, and just the emotional beats and the tension. Right? I thought it was. If I thought it was well paced and the tension throughout
It was
was
good.
great.
I've and I thought about this as I saw the scene because, you know, there's one thing you've never ever heard me talk about on any cast or appearing on anything in here. It's drawing anything to the way certain people have been perceived in society.
Yeah.
But there was a very uncomfortable moment for me at the end where he gets dragged aside by the authorities for literally just walking down the beach.
Yeah.
And, he's arrested for absolutely no reason. He's incarcerated for absolutely no reason. I mean, there's lots of reasons to incarcerate Cassian Andor,
Yeah.
but it was one of those moments I'm like,
But they
do
don't
I
have the right one.
do I bring it up? Do I say
Yeah.
anything? Anyway, it's just I don't know if you want to touch on this at all. This is
Well,
a
yeah,
subject that I steer way clear from, but
yeah.
I did notice that at the end. I was like, yeah, like that's
There's definitely some social commentary going on there. And then
100%.
even with I thought when we see the K2S, like the Imperial droid, it's like, oh, it's K2, but like obviously it's not
Yeah.
K2. He'll obviously come down the road, but when he basically just he says watch, he said watch, and he's like basically getting strangled to death, like just
Yeah, and he's not like,
obviously.
no, he said hang out, like hang on to
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
So again, it symbolizes there a little bit of
Yeah, yeah, for
o-
sure. About some of the
force, right?
injustice. Yeah, but some of
Yeah.
the injustice that still goes on. Again, not that I want to dive into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't blinding, but it was about as subtle as a punch in
Yeah.
the gut. So I thought it was worth kind of safely mentioning on the show that, if that was done on purpose, then yeah, we see it. Well done. That was really, really, and it was well executed in the show.
Yeah, so pretty much a terrible vacation for Cassian.
Yeah,
He tried to get his mom. He tried to get, I don't know, is this like the girl he kind of wants, but he's friend zoned? Like, I can't figure it out.
yeah, that was
He
tough.
got shut down by both of them. And so he goes out, spends some money on some fun, and ends up in a 6-year sentence
Yeah,
and getting strangled by a robot.
rough day.
Rough day at the office.
Rough day at the office.
For one Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give this episode a grade, and
All right,
I will
rate
let
it.
you go first.
I'm going to give this an absolutely solid 8.6.
Nice.
I give 8.6 as a very positive score. The only thing for me that would take this 8.6 to anywhere close to my highest ever rating of 9 is if we magically somehow got really perfectly placed Palpatine drop or some type of crazy battle, which wouldn't make sense because it's not at that part in the show. Like, I loved this episode for what it was. I give it 8.6 because there were some incredible moments, obviously, back on Ferrix. So I say 8.6 with absolute admiration.
Yeah, and my guess is, with it being 12 episodes, I believe so far it's been 3-episode arcs. My guess is this is episode 1 of another 3-episode arc, right? If this is what the first setup is for the overall arc, like where we could potentially be in for a doozy. So I'm gonna go. I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this one. I'm gonna go 8-8.
Yeah, that doesn't
I loved
that
it.
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
So I will say, I'll run it by you real quick. So I made a short. There's a lot of people who've talked about it, but there's something known as the Gorman Massacre. It was like it was like an old source book for West End games. So it wasn't technically canon. And then in Rebels, when Mon Mothma has their big speech on the Ghost, when she gets all the ships to come together and unite, she speaks out about against Palpatine that he was behind the Gorman Massacre. And then throughout the episodes, in episode 4, and then at the end of episode 6. So in episode 4, she talks about, every time she tries to bring up something about the people of Gorman, she gets shut down by Sly Moore. Like they were talking about the dinner party conversation.
Yeah.
And at the end of episode 6, when she's in the Senate, when the heist goes off, she says, the people of Gorman, there's a blockade or whatever, they're suffering. We're going to send a fact-finding commission to really see what's going on. So we know in Rebels that the massacre happens. And then in these episodes, she seems very, like, most of her political work has been about the concern for the people of Gorman. And now with the
do you have the show? Do you have the short done?
Yeah.
How long is it?
Just a minute.
Can we see it?
So
can I watch it?
Well, I'll just tell you. It's
I want to see it. I want to see it on the show. I mean, it's a minute long. I don't think there's anything wrong with posting your short during a conversation. I mean, I'm not calling this out because I'm your friend. I'm calling it out because I'm genuinely interested. I mean, I didn't realize, like, those are a lot of very specific and key moments you've called out about one civilization of people. There has to be something about them. I'd be very curious to see the short.
All right, I'll play it right now.
All right.
Give me 1 second. Share screen. All right.
Ooh,
we can see here.
That's your fancy channel. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah, look at all that stuff. Let's here we go. View on YouTube.
Oh yeah, 1,000 views. Things gotta go beauty. Is it playing? I don't see anything.
No.
You look very funny though. Off to the side, you're very serious. And like, all I see is your list of videos.
Oh, you know what it is? Let me stop that. It opened it up in a new tab. Yeah, let's try that one more time.
Okay.
Present. Share screen.
Because I'm actually curious. I don't know a lot about the Gorm thing. That's why I'm genuinely interested.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh yeah, we got the far out view now too. There you go.
Would fit the tone and plot of the series. Like, let me just refresh it.
Yeah.
I named the Emperor himself.
You still see?
Ordering the brutal attacks on the people of Gorman.
Odds are we'll see it in Andor, as the Gorman Massacre has become a critical event for Mon Mothma's character, as well as the formation of the Rebel Alliance. I'm loving Andor so far, and the Gorman Massacre would fit the tone and plot of the series like a glove. Now, the details of the massacre from the source book are not canon, but I hope they keep some of the main elements, those being Tarkin and the Executrix. Andor has done a great job showing not everyone in the Empire is pure evil, and a lot are just doing their jobs. Seeing Tarkin land a Star Destroyer on protesters would be incredibly brutal and start swinging the pendulum back by showing people how evil the Empire can be. Plus, with the advancement of deepfake technology, bringing Tarkin back should be feasible and look even better than Rogue One. Episode 6 ended with the ISB strategizing retaliation plans, and Mon Mothma is putting together a fact-finding commission into what's going on Gorman. All the pieces are falling into place.
I named the...
There you go.
All right. See, a lot of that I did not know, and I didn't even know how that massacre happened. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it in your short. It's weird to hear your voice when you're not speaking and you're on screen, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to have the visuals of this, to have Tarkin land a Star Destroyer on a planet I mean,
so we already know
it sounds awesome to be excited about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is I did not know how much of an event this is. This has to kickstart the rebellion.
Exactly. So we already know they're blockading the planet. We've already heard that in the show. And we know they're going to send a fact-finding mission. It's only likely that they're going to protest the actions. So if they actually give that us to on screen, like literally Tarkin being like, and drops a Star Destroyer on top of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy because it
That would
really
take you
is.
to a 9.0.
It what? Yeah.
Sure.
It is the event I feel that takes Mon Mothma from dipping her toe in the water to full on announcing herself, I'm going to lead this rebellion because, you can't be doing this. So again, like they're teasing it. So if it happens, I'll be ready to break the 9.0 for the first time,
Fair.
potentially, if it's well done.
Yep.
And I'm assuming it's going to be brutal, right? It's going to be an extremely brutal moment, I would imagine.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Maybe that uncomfortableness we were talking about last night with House of the Dragon.
Yep. All right.
So that's what I got. Let us know, everyone, in the comments. Did you love this episode of Andor like we did? Or, what your thoughts are? And did we miss anything? And we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace out, everyone.